right, a very good morning to you. It is Tuesday, 27th day of June 2023. And of course, like I said yesterday, we're inching closer and closer and closer towards the end of the first year of this year. All right, so what about our vision board, hashtag goals? Where are you? I hope you have achieved almost all of the goals that you set before the year ends. So welcome to the show. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and of course the show is Your World. So today we want to talk about something that has been talked about, and especially online, and this includes Wasanii. All right, it's all about the digital tax, and I'm pretty sure you know by now that the president actually assented the bill. Now it is law. All right, so what will pay taxes? All right, but even at the same time, we just want to really understand what exactly does this mean. You know, for all the artists, all right, the digital content creators, what exactly does this mean? Will this, you know, affect their creativity in one way or the other in terms of the amount of content that they produce, you know, online, when it comes to their collaborations as well, and of course, you know, financially as well? How will this new taxes affect them? All right. Although yesterday I was actually speaking to like our business editor, right, Julian's. And he said, listen, hakuna kitu umechange so far, all right? Because initially, you know, of course, they were supposed, everybody really is supposed to pay taxes. But of course, when we're talking about the withholding tax, initially it was 5%, but of course, there were proposals to increase to 15%. But of course, you know, that has been revised, and now it is back to 5%. So nothing much has changed. But even at the same time, there are some people who are still trying to figure out, so what exactly does this mean? And especially to the digital content creators. So that is what we'll be focusing on the conversation today. You want to stick around until the end of the show. And of course, come away when in Sydney, all right? For all the digital content creators, if you're watching us this morning and you feel some type of way, all right? Feel free to also be part of the conversation, all right? And of course, before we take you through the graphics as far as understanding taxes and how they work in the country, just to put you up to speed with an an ongoing campaign, all right? And this is by Colgate, where children all around Kenya rely on water from unsafe sources. And of course, Colgate is asking you to help change this. So just a little water can make a big difference. So for every pack of Colgate that you buy exclusively at Naivas, you help build 30 water wells that will provide clean water. Forget this, 120,000 Kenyans. So what you need to do is give a helping hand. Shop at your nearest Naivas store or online at naivas.co.ke. And for more information about the campaign, go to Colgate Kenya's Facebook page or wellboring/colgate.com. Once again, terms and conditions apply. So let's come back to our conversation today. And of course, first of all, let's get to understand what are the different types of taxes that we have, you know, in the country. And of course, this is according to KRA, all right? So we have the income tax, but of course, under the income tax, there are several aspects to the same. And before we move on to the next, let me just get you, or just, you know, put you up to speed. So there's the income tax, which is imposed on, very quickly, business income from any trade of profession, employment income, rent income, dividend and interest, pension income, income from digital marketplace, and natural resource income, among others. So that is directly on the income tax. But we also have the rental income tax. We have value added tax, commonly known as VAT. I'm pretty sure we all know about that. And then we have the excise duty. We have capital gains. We have agency revenue. We also have the turnover tax. I'm pretty sure you've also, you know, heard about the same. But at the same time, still under income, all right? So we also have like several ways where tax charged for each year of income upon all the income of a person, whether resident or non-resident, accrued in or was derived from Kenya. So that is basically what income tax really means, all right? So all of you who are like, should we or should we not? Yes. Income tax. This is you know, important for all of us, whether you're resident or non-resident. But even still, there are other methods of collecting income tax from companies and partnerships based on income. And remember, this is still under the income tax, right? So there's the corporation tax. There is the pay as you earn or payee. We all know about that, all right? And then there is the withholding tax. This withholding tax is what we'll be really, really focusing on the conversation today. There is the advance tax. There is the installment tax at the same time. So again, like I said, we'll be focusing on the withholding tax. And what exactly does it mean? So this is a tax that is deductible from certain classes of income at the point of making a payment to non-employees, all right? So what exactly, you know, does that cover? Well, let's move on to the next one, where it continues to say that withholding tax is deducted at source from the following sources of income, all right? So there's interest, there's dividends, there's royalties, there's management or professional fees, and this includes consultancy, agency, or contractual fees. So I know this makes a lot of sense right now for those of you who are like, okay. But at the same time, it continues to say from commissions as well, from pensions. Yes, we've had a lot of people say, why are we taxing pensions? Okay. And then there's also rent received by non-residents, as well as other payments specified. All right. And of course, like we said, you know, the whole aspect about the withholding tax is companies are actually required, you know, companies and partnerships rather, making the payment are responsible for deducting and remitting the tax to the Commissioner of domestic taxes. All right, and this is just the 5%. So, which again has been assented into law, and of course we all know about the same. But at the same time, there's also the 25%. Remember the 30% payee that we talked about, and that is not payee per se, but tax. All right, 30%. So 5% will be remitted by the company, but at the same time, those ones, especially you know the ones that the withholding tax actually affects, will also be required to pay 25% to make up the 30%. All right, so a lot of people are like, okay, should we not? All right. We'll be focusing on the same as we continue with the conversation, but at the same time we have a very simple question for you, and the question is the government justified to tax digital content creators? All right, is the government justified to tax the digital content creators? You know the drill by now. It's NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter is how you can reach us, or at the same time use our social media platforms, that is at NTV Kenya. But again, like I said, if you want to call in live and tell us how you feel about this whole aspect about taxes, first of all, but you know, specifically towards the digital content creators, again, our lines are much open. All right, so we look forward to hear what you have to say. But the question is very simple as well, and that is the government justified to tax digital content creators? All right, and of course on sets we have digital content creators. Kuna mwingine kwanza alikuanga hapo kwa artist msanii alafu akatoroka. We have him on set as well. All right, so we have, do you guys even know like his name? You know, they saw your name, I'm like, ai. Okay, we have Jasper Mudhomi, aka MC Jesse.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you this morning. I'm trying to come msanii. Listen, side hustle.
By the way, Jesse is my real name.
Is it?
Jesse is in my ID.
Okay, all right.
Niliongeza wakati wa campaign.
Jasper
Jesse Jasper Mudhomi.
Jesse Jasper Mudhomi.
Mudhomi, mtu amesoma.
Mudhomi.
Mudhomi, the learned guy.
The learned guy.
From
it's
Meru.
Good to have you this morning.
Thank you so much,
Winnie. Sana.
I appreciate.
Ndio kuona tuko mtandao ukiambia watu nyinyi lipeni tax. Wache kusumbua.
Yes, watu wache kusumbua.
Wache kusumbua lipe tax, right? Okay, it's so good to have you. We also have Eric Wamanji, who is a communications analyst, joining us via Zoom. Eric, it's so good to see you this morning. How are you doing all the way from Mombasa?
Fantastic, Mombasa. The weather today is fine. It's bright, warm enough, and I think we are starting on a very positive note from the coastal city.
All right. You know, it's very cold here in Nairobi, so unasikia tu vizuri uko Mombasa. You can't relate to our troubles.
I can't relate.
You can't relate. Okay, this morning. At the same time, we're still, you know, expecting Martin Githinji, aka Daddy Marto, who is a content creator. He'll be joining us in just a moment. Ameshikwa somewhere in the traffic. Yeah, in Nairobi, how it is, all right? But he'll be here with us. But before we even get into the conversation and get to hear, you know, what MC Jesse thinks about all those things, right? Can we just go back a few days to Parliament when, of course, the MPs were debating around the same end? Take a listen.
It is unfair to start imagining imposing tax on what we have not achieved as a country in digitalizing socio-economic empowerment for the youths, which is an opportunity for their job creation. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the amendments because in the first place, even the proposal in provision of the Ajira technology in the constituencies has not been measured to be effective. Madam Speaker, I rise to support that even the content creators are struggling and the small space that they've secured within the market. They are fighting to get that to sell the commodities or to ensure that other aspects are done. The same government has not laid out the framework to ascertain the level of achievement and success in digitalizing and providing for the Ajira. Some of them are struggling with bundles and internet. Madam Speaker, I support the content creators must not be subjected to this tax. At other amendment places, we must consider all the facts which are relevant. Let us stop pretending, let us not tax everything and go by the support, the proposal of Honorable Oluoch. I support.
Amesema content creators are not, they are not able, all right? But you're saying, listen, not only for taxes.
You see, Winnie, there's something that actually even our members of parliament, our GUI, about CC when you're content creators.
Right.
First of all, I am a content creator na nimekuwa kwa hiyo space for a while now. Actually, when digital came, we were the pioneers of digital content creation. We are the first ones to transit from analog to digital. And one of the main things that I can say is, for the first time in the history of this country, we have a president that recognizes art officially. Before then, tulikuwa nowhere. So even when I see members of parliament debating there, where it was Bensouda, by the way.
Yes.
Debate wanapiga kelele, it's because they want to be heard. Some of them want to be heard. But the thing is, for the first time, sisi wasanii, tumejipata, we have a place we can call home. Having a president that is listening to us. And the thing is, we never had a place. Nobody used to talk to us. Nobody used to listen to us. We did a lot of proposals to try and talk to the government or to skize as artists na tupate space. But they didn't. Mpaka regime ikaisha. Now, here came another president. Mwenye tuliongelesha. Mimi nilikampaign na William Ruto sana. Na we used to talk about these things kwa campaigns. When I saw him implementing and creating art, kama ministry, mi nikafurahia sana.
I mean, listen, we also have to give the former president some bit of credit.
No. No, sisi tulikuwa wasanii na kuambia Winnie. In fact, let me use this statement. We never had a place to call home. But this time round is the only time. Ministry art, it used to be like, it used to be called culture. And then there used to be like 2-3 guys who go in the art department just meandering around. But this time around, it's a serious department under the Ministry of Sports, Youth and the Arts. So up on the arts, we are there. And we can feel the effect. Whereby the president is just listening to us is first of all, something that I would commend. And personally, I was vying for member of parliament, and what they are talking about is what I would have gone there to debate. And I would still have talked about this before the passing of the bill. And the bill whereby it talks about the 5% tax on us digital content creators, it has been there. Every time we are paid, even for me, just going to perform at a place, just an MC, they still charge us 5% has been there since 2021.
The biggest noise was from the 15%, which again, that's
but the president reviewed it. We can't discuss it, and he reviewed it and said, wacha hawa wajipange kwanza, alafu we shall review. Na hiyo kujipanga ni nini? Like right now, we are debating something that hatujaweka in place yet. The art industry has not yet been put together the way it's supposed to be. Remember, it wasn't there. But now with the president, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, he's trying to make sure there is a home for artists. The problems are still there. You know, we have not yet established a framework for work yet. That's what is happening slowly.
Okay, so the Dimato is in here, and I'm really curious to hear what he has to. First of all, how are you?
Niko salama.
Ni mlalaji.
Mlalaji huyu.
Usichokijua usikiongelee.
At least you've got the traffic, but it's a good to have you. Karibu sana. We're talking about the digital, taxes for the digital content creators, right?
Yes.
Whether you are a content creator.
Yes.
What do you first of all make of this? Again, the 15% revised to 5%, which, I mean, initially this is what has always been there, right? The 5%.
Yeah.
What do you feel about all those things? MC Jesse is like, the president ako hapa anatutetea, anaturecognize and all those things. But there's some people who would say, sasa anaturecognize, lakini bado anatufinya na kujia hiyo pesa yetu kidogo that we're making online.
Kwanza kabisa niseme Jesse nilikuwa nikurushia mawe ile siku State House ambayo ulisema lazima tulipe hivyo tu when at the time it was 15%.
Yes.
Now,
No,
ushuru
Macho, if you
lazima.
remember, I said, I told the president, he was sitting right there.
Yes.
Nikamwambia, tafadhali. And I said it on TV, tafadhali. Wacha kwanza tujipange.
Lakini sasa kama bill tayari iko parliament, tunajipanga wakati upi? Huo wakati ulisema lazima tulipe. And at that time it was still at 15%.
Tujipange.
It was still at 15%. Hiyo time ya kujipanga clearly sahi hatuna. Haifai kuwa. But good thing is right now.
So you're saying you shouldn't at all?
So it is.
Yeah, I want to hear your position and then we'll come
So
back.
first there was assumption that digital content creators don't pay tax.
Okay.
We do. We've always paid tax. Yes. Actors also pay tax. Yes. That 5% has always been taken whether you like it or not. Yeah. So we are building towards the, we're building the, tunajenga nchi na pesa yetu pia. Yeah. When it was to be 15%, there was hapo ndio sasa tulianzia kupoteleano. Okay. Why? Number one, this is an industry that has not had any kind of direct government support. Let's say sawa tusahau that ilikuwa sasa 15%, sasa tuko 5%. So these are some of the things that we were crying about that needs to happen. One, it's government support in terms of policy and implementation of the policies.
All right. What policies?
Space yetu, we have a lot of young upcoming artists who are just tunatapatapa kwa giza, trying to figure out what this space is all about. We have companies who in, for example, the United States, the digital economy is very vibrant. The figures we talk about in dollars, if we bring them to Kenya, even if we just keep them in dollars, not even take them to Kenya shillings, already are very high. Yeah. And that's because there is recognition of the fact that this is another revenue stream that has actually gotten a lot of people either out of poverty or walikuwa wameenda tu kupotea kabisa, na wamesaidika. And you have a government that's actually looking at what this space is offering, trying to regulate the things that need to be regulated, and offering the support that is necessary. Okay. So, one, to beat the assumptions, there was the assumption that one, we do not pay taxes, kazi yetu ni kupata tu pesa, tunakula, tunafloss kwa mtandao, see my, sitaki kusema brand flani ya gari, see my hii brand ya gari, nisisemekane ninaendea mtu mmoja.
Just say see my big car.
See my car, see my house. No. Ati uko holiday and whatnot. For people not to realize that some of those are engagements towards the job itself. Okay. Some of those cars might not be ours. Some of those holidays might not be ours. Yeah. They are two things. They are characters and they are individuals. Right. Most content creators end up being characters, but now they do not dissociate the characters from themselves as individuals. Okay. So kuna wale wameamua ni character na ni character. Yeah. At least one person who I can say is a character and an individual, and we can see the difference is Awinja. Okay. Jackie Vike. Yeah. So there is Jackie Vike, the individual, and then there is Awinja, who's the character. But then there are other content creators ambao wote ni the same. So kuna watu unaona kuna character fulani ametokea amepiga floss yake ni watu wanasema huyu mtu na yeye KRA inamuona kile anafanya. Hiyo ni character anachapa, ni job.
But at the same time, lakini si ni the individual amekuwa hiyo character, and that is why amepata hiyo job and all those things. Even the president himself alisema listen.
Watu wanakula sana.
And then akasema huyu Jugush and then akasema Butita. They make so much money kushinda hata mimi my talent and all those things. MC Jesse, before I come to you, let me hear what Eric has to say. So Eric, MC Jesse says, listen, the president has come, has recognized artists and content creators, and somehow according to MC Jesse, their plans, to have like some bit of structure as far as that is concerned. But anasema, listen, first of all, hatuna support yoyote ya government, so kwa nini unataka kuja kuchukua mahali ya mku invest, okay? So what do you make of this?
Okay, thank you very much, and once again, good morning from Mombasa. When it comes to issues of taxation, you see, any economy thrives based on taxing the incomes of the people of that jurisdiction.
Right.
And the digital space called the workers, they are called either digital workers or digital labor, should also be subjected to taxation. That's number one. Okay. Just like any other person who is involved in income generation or earning in an established jurisdiction or a state. So number one, paying tax is a requirement, is a duty, is an obligation of any human being within a state.
All right.
Then number two, we must also appreciate that we are calling this issue like the arts, the culture, it's one and the same thing. In fact, culture is all encompassing. All arts belong to the cultural industry or the cultural sector. And we appreciate that the current administration has appreciated that there's a tax bracket, there's an industry that is emerging, that can be vibrant, that can contribute to employment, that can contribute to GDP, and therefore should be regularized and be subjected to the rules and norms of taxation of the Republic of Kenya. So that one you have to agree with. But then the next thing is, how are we going to facilitate this space so that the actors within that space can find it fit for them to be productive, can find it fit for them to be innovative, and can find it fit for them to prosper just like any other regularized sector of the economy that is involved in a means of production, that is involved in income generation for the country and for improvement of livelihoods, as it were. So number one, yes, people should pay tax. No one, unless it's the prerogative of the government of the day to decide if it wants to give tax holidays. But generally, we all belong to a taxpayers bracket, and we should respect that. Then number two, like the guests have said, they have been paying tax, the 5% withholding tax. But remember, even 5% is just a withholding tax. It just tells KRA that this guy earned this much. At the end of the year, in June, you should be able now to declare your incomes and expenses. If it appears that your expenses exceeded income, then KRA normally will have tax refund regime. So it should not be really a big issue. It's just to help KRA know that someone earned some money somewhere, and that if you made profit, yes, you have to be taxed, and even taxed more based on the rules and regulations. Yes.
All right, we'll come back to you to really understand how that works. Because again, like I said, I was talking to our business editor, Julian Semboko, and one of the things that he said is, me, first of all, the only thing that I'm concerned is how many digital content creators, especially our Wadogo, you know, upcoming, how many of them, first of all, do have KRA PIN? Because he was saying, me, if I'm the one who's supposed to give you business, that is the first question I would ask you. Do you have a KRA PIN? If you do not have, it's doom for you. We are due on a break, but can you make your point in like a minute? I know we're in MCGC. No. You talk. But again, what he's saying is if really we have to pay tax, all right? Then there has to be like some bit of structure on the same before you even think about 15%, 25%, 30%, you know, if you have to. But can we have like some bit of structure? Can we see your support, you know, your investment, first of all, in this arts department, so that it will be to 15%? We will pay.
First of
because
all,
it's a bit of support.
Even if we are saying that we are supporting the president akisema tulipe tax, hata si wenye tunamkaribia, we're not going to give him a break at sasa he gets away with it. No. Mato, I'm telling you, it is a must for this industry to be regularized.
Okay.
First of all, there must be the creation of the Creative Economic Council, like other councils where they are. We need to put our house in order first, because you've never done that. And these are the things when you tuko karibu na yeye pale tunampush. We're not just letting him aende tu ati watu members of parliament wapige kelele. If mimi sikutoboa kuingia parliament, which would have sponsored a bill to parliament called the Creative Economy Bill, which would have established a council that would have been a regulator for our industry. Kwa sababu hata tukikosea, hatunanga watu wanatu discipline hivi. For example, when a medical council in case unauza drugs kwa pharmacy, and then zako ziko na shida or something, there's someone who will come and close your shop. But for us, we don't have. And these are the things we are pushing the president to make sure he does. We need a regulator for this industry. Ndiye akisema we need to tax it vile amesema from 2024. It needs to be structured then by 2024. So hatuko pale mato pia kucheza. We are there to tell him, please, we need our industry regularized. Okay. Saa hii tukisema let all the content creators come, as you are saying, ule mmoja ambaye ana KRA pin and all that. Tutawatoa wapi? We just depending on social media. We go on Instagram and TikTok to just call the content creators. No, we need a structure.
Okay.
And now that the parliament vile walikuwa na debate kina Bensouda and the likes wakisema, oh, these young people, they need to be given time. Then why can't they now, because the bill is coming, actually it's a policy that is coming through the Committee of Art in Parliament. Why don't they pass it to create the council so that the council can be our regulator?
Okay.
And this council will be the one that will be regulating the Kekobo, MCSK, Camp, Prisk, because those are not even government entities. But ukweli usemwe, watu wanakula pesa za artist. The money that is supposed to be taxed, kuna watu wanakula.
Okay.
And one thing we are urging the president right now is to create a platform for artists through the creation of the council first, which will be an act of parliament. Because ikikuwa tu kitu iko hivi hivi, any other president anaweza kuja squash na iende. But if it's an act of parliament, no president can remove it. Okay. That council will remain. It will be a regulator for the industry. And with that, we'll be able to look into the stakeholders of the industry.
Okay.
Kama kina MCSK and all that. In case wakose kidogo, kutakuwa na disciplinary action. So our wadogo wenye tunaongea about content creators, Mato, do you have a badge ya content creators?
Okay.
If we talk to Winnie, akona badge ya Media Council of Kenya.
Yes.
Do you have one for content creators?
Before Mato
we must have it this time with the president.
Okay, before Mato, I know Mato na washo anataka kujibu. Okay, but we need to go on a break. We need to also pay bills. So we need to go on a we need to go on a break. But the question that we're asking you, is the government justified to tax digital content creators? All right. Very quickly, this one says, tax is not bad. It only becomes bad when it turns into a burden to the payer. And then someone else says, tax is okay, but it should be affordable and services follow the taxation. And this is Nisha who says, yes, they should pay tax. All right, so we'll be reading more of your feedback when we come from the break. Stay with us. This is Your World.
I want each and every one of you to stay vigilant. Any drug case as complicated as this one requires a lot of work.
Wait, kwani ili hapa?
Zangu zilikuwa tuma bobe. Bobe ati peke yangu.
Kwani kulikuwa na mtu mwingine kunisaidia?
Enda itoke ama ndio utakula kopa. Jemo, nganya inatoka leo.
Wala usiniambie umsiame hepana doe.
Jemo, tulia.
Bluebird peanut butter, made with 100% pure peanuts and a good source of omega-6. Grow healthy and happy kids with Bluebird peanut butter. Available in 200 grams, 400 grams, and 800 grams. Buy a pack today.
As a mother, I have to do my duties in the house. It forces me to send her to the river because I have no alternative.
Piaora ok ber, ler bedo ok ler. Otuo nikech piaora. Otuo ok odhi skul, japuonj chunye chandore.
If children had water close by, they won't be sick, they won't be distracted because the water is clean.
Furahia maisha bora, linda jamii yako
peanut butter made with 100% pure peanuts and a good source of omega-6. Grow healthy and happy kids with Blueband peanut butter. Available in 200 grams, 400 grams, and 800 grams. Buy a pack today.
Kwa miaka na mikaka, hedhi kwa mtoto wa kike ambaye anaishi katika mazingira tata imekuwa ni balaa na wala si tunu tena kwa msichana huyu. Ripoti zimejitokeza haswa katika mashirika mbalimbali kwamba Kenya na Afrika nzima kwa jumla, mtoto wa kike ambaye anaishi katika mitaa ya mabanda, inasemekana kwamba wasichana wengi wameuza miili zao angalau wapate hela za kununua sodo. Inasikitisha, lakini hedhi kwa mwanamke siku zote ni tunu na haifai kuwa kizingiti. Hili swala lazima tuliweke parawanja. Ni swala ambalo lazima tulizungumzie bila haya.
You are watching Your World in association with Colgate.
Madam Speaker, the proposal by the Committee on Finance seeks to do two things. One is to bring equity. This is the house that has been mandated by the country to ensure that there is equitable distribution of resources, but also an equitable carrying of the burden. Madam Speaker, every profession in this country pays tax, Madam Speaker. Every profession is taxed at a certain rate. The journey that we have walked, Madam Speaker, in the time when, from when the proposal was made, is that this tax has actually been reduced from an up of 15% to where we are now at 5%. And the argument we made, we who are concerned about the real content creator, the argument was that they cannot be inequitably taxed. If other professions are being taxed at 5%, then digital content creators should also be taxed not more than 5%. So, Madam Speaker, the truth of the matter is that there has been a 15% reduction from the proposal to where we are. Madam Speaker, I stand to support.
Thank you. I now put the question that clause 24 be amended as proposed by Honorable Anthony Olwach. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it.
The nays have it, and I'm pretty sure all the Kinamato are like, yes, finally, Cindy, 5% as compared to the 15%. But it's all about digital content creators. Today, all the show, of course, just want to understand the whole aspect about taxation. And like we began, you know, the show, of course, we talked about and looked at the different types of taxes that are there. And of course, this says every single person should pay taxes, all right? The big contention was the 15%. It was revised to 5%. And I am sure everybody is okay. Mato, are you okay?
I mean, it is as it was.
What it is.
It is as it was, yeah.
Okay.
And the good thing about, so the difference between what it was then and what it is now is that now it's actually called a digital service tax.
Yeah.
Before, it was just a withholding tax for kawaida services.
Yeah.
It's in the same bracket as the actors and sometimes musicians.
Yeah.
Ambazo wanalipa for events. So, back to MC Jesse. So we are in what is called the gig economy, where we only earn when we work.
When you work, yeah.
And that work is very limited because you have little work and a lot of people in that little work that needs to be done. Second thing, we operate in a space of, and I always call it the vanity industry. I call this the vanity industry. Why? Because you only earn when people love you. That's it.
How that's it.
By the way, watu wakikupenda ndio unapata. Watu wasipokupenda haupati.
Lakini kuna wale wenye watu hawapendi lakini bado wanapata.
Wacha nikwambie, wao bado wanapendwa. Wacha nikwambie, there is love and hate in equal measure. And then there is the kind of hate that attracts views. So unachukiwa lakini bado unatafuta utazamwe. So it's still in its own way kutafutwa na macho ambayo ni kupendwa, all right? So when you're dealing with an economy where people don't know whether they are going to get money or not, and then you cluster them in the same space, even quoting the president himself, saying that we earn much more money than him. Come on, what kind of support do we get that he does? What kind of guarantees do we get that he has of 5 years of a job till he comes and asks for another 5 years? We do not have such guarantees. What kind of support other than us doing it ourselves? Like we don't get any travel allowances. We do not get any medical covers unless sisi wenyewe tujipange nayo na ile kidogo ambayo tuko nayo. So it's a good thing you're talking about the Creative Council, and I hope, and I really hope it materializes. And I shall be watching you personally to see that that comes to the floor, because we're talking about a government that wanted to, at this point, I'll say ambush an industry, because right now we're talking from a place of imerudi 5%. Fuchs, that happened the other day. So zile mawe tungekuja nazo leo tumeficha.
Alisema hiyo 5% ni mpewe time mujipange.
So as we wait,
ni kujipanga, itakuja tu, but itakuja kama tumejipanga.
Exactly. As we wait to get there, what kind of support are we going to get where we can even cluster ourselves with the rest of the people who are paying more than the 5%? And that is all I'm asking. So for the people who pay the 16%, 16%, is it? No, that's VAT. That's VAT.
30%.
That, for the people who pay the 30%, kuna zile vitu serikali ensure that the employer, kuna zile vitu serikali ensure that the employer anapatia huyu mtu so that aweze kuishi vizuri. We do not have any one single employer. And that is what people need to understand. We do not have any one single employer. You understand this. Yes, you might have been in employment with somebody for a very long time, but you can't even call that employment. It was still a gig. Unapata pesa yako wakati kuna event. Wakati COVID iligonga and the Churchill show no longer did the rounds. Who was being paid? Nobody. Hata kama you are under employment with them, yeye kama hapati pesa, haikuji kwako tena. And that's what people need to understand. Even as we stand up and flex about the little thing that we have for viewability, so that bado will remain relevant. Because once you're relevant in this industry, that's it. Your money is gone.
They're living a fake life. Lazima walipe tax because
it's for the views. Winnie, I want to agree with Mato on some point, okay? And Mato, this is one thing that you need to assist me do. Pale hivi kuongea na president, it's not easy. Yeye ako na mambo, unaona ndio huyu amekimbia Afrika, sasa pia anataka pia kupeana policies zake about Africa vile itakuwa. So you can imagine the whole country, and then there is a creative, sisi sasa, tuko pale kwa creative industry.
Lakini said for office to serve everyone.
Yes, to serve everyone. That's what I'm saying. My point is, lazima sisi wenyewe creatives, tusukume. It's not that easy, Mato. Lazima tusukume. And I'm telling you, pale parliament, if an artist like KJ anaweza understand that from where we sit right now, we need a place, we need a regulator. You won't just argue about just the 15%, saying it is a profession like any other. Just as you're saying, who pays for our medicals? Who regulates us as creatives? Hakuna. So we will take advantage, and I hope the president is going to listen to what tunamwambianga huko chini ya maji. And I tell you, we do tell him. Chini ya maji sele tuko naye, ukisimama naye 5 minutes, unaiskuma the agenda. Which is what, mimi nimekuwa kwa industry for long. What else will I leave for the people wenye nimeacha nyuma? Kina Crazy Kena, nyinyi. Lakini we ni daddy. Wale wengine, watoko nini tunawaachia Mato? Kina MCA Tricky, tunawaachia nini? We need to sacrifice. Some of us. I personally have decided to sacrifice. I go there to parliament and I had a clear mission to table a bill that will regularize the industry. And hapo sijawacha. The fact that I'm able to reach the president pale tukiwa mishoni, I'll still insist. And I can't do it alone. You have to join me. Other creatives need to join us. Pale tulikuwa State House to launch Talanta Hela is something different from what you're talking about, the creation
we'll come back and talk about that Talanta Hela.
Yes, it's different from what you're talking about, the creative economy itself having a home. Sahi Kenya Kwanza iko na majority members of parliament pale. We'll push to make them have this policy passed so that we can have a home. So with that, to regulate hata media kuambia that tafadhali tuchezeni. Kama sio NTV amgenijua.
That's true.
NTV gave me a lot of airtime. promo here, promo there. Watu wakanijua, nikaanza ku-earn nje. And then what will people do? Wananikata 5%.
But
digital tax. And then saa hii ongeze ingine juu without regularization. So I'm here, yes, for the government, tuendelee kulipa hii 5, lakini I'm saying what? We must create this home. Kina KJ ni artist. Waone, walibahatika wakaingia parliament. Kina nani mwingine? Jalango is an artist. Ata, okay, Babu Owino is not an artist, but he's young. Ajue, we need a place where we can regularize the industry and artists can be acknowledged in this government. And the fact that we have a president, let's use that chance to push him to do that.
You know, Mato said, I'll be watching.
I'll be watching him to make sure he brings support. If you don't bring us support,
let's hear what Eric has to say. Because, Eric, so there's a whole question about regulations. And of course, KJ also mentioned inequitability. Where that time? As far as taxes are concerned. But I'm just curious to hear from you. You're not an artist, so watching from outside coming in, how much of an impact will this have, and especially to the creative industry and even the future of the same? Because again, we are in the digital space. We will not wish it away. If anything, it will continue to grow in the years to come. So then what does this mean for the future of the creative industry? When we're talking about all these taxes, MCGS is like, yeah, tujipange sahi na hiyo 5%, lakini vitu zikikuwa sawa, tukikuwa na council, maybe tunaweza ongeza and all those things. So how much of an impact will this have in the creative industry, and what does that say about the future?
Okay, first, you know, when you are in a liberal economy like ours, capitalism is about supply and demand in a marketplace.
All right.
So the market will dictate how much the industry is going to thrive. That's number one. That is the demand part of it, and also the supply part of it, which is will be supplied by the artists or the content creators.
All right.
So that is number one, and that one will really inform how much this industry is going to grow or is going to be frustrated. Number two, you see, this tax has always been, I mean, unless someone is dodging tax, but if you work for a regularized corporate or individual, they'll pay you, they will hold your tax. And then, so what it means is that if we are going to formalize this sector, this industry, what we should be expecting is creativity, innovation, because that's what drives economies, and that's what creates wealth of the nations. So we are expecting that it's going to be competitive. We are expecting that people are going to be innovative, and we're also expecting that people are going to be regularized within the system of the government of the day, so that they fit in the bigger economic structures in our, if you want to call the taxation mix and the income mix. So that I don't see it as a barrier, but a trigger for more regularization, professionalization of the sector, and also improvement of the artists. Now, when it comes to regulations are good because they'll help now to weed out, if you like, misbehaviors, misdemeanors within the industry. So that one will be good. But you see, policies normally follow up after innovation. So our industry, like the digital space, the digital labor, is ahead of the regulation. So regulation is trying to catch up. Now, when an informal sector is getting regularized, most of the time you'll have this hue and cry. It's so normal. Even during the, what you used to call the .com boom in the US, we had the same challenges. People are wondering, how are you going to tax this? Why should you tax this? But you see, it's just another aspect within the economic mix of the country. So taxation will improve the sector. Taxation will attract more specialized, innovative young people in the digital space, and will also make it more professional and therefore good for the society and also for the artists themselves. So it's something we should embrace even as we try to professionalize, and then we also try to avoid a situation whereby just a few people want to control the sector. The good thing is that the digital space is like the open source space in the internet. And it allows anyone with some creativity to participate. That is what we call the democratization of the digital space, and which is very good for our young people and also very good for the economy. It will, the taxation, the discussions around the taxation will really improve the content creation and the artist
All right. I got pretty much what you said. We're having a bit of an issue with the connection there, Eric, but I got much of what you said. Daddy Mato, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. He says, listen, it is good. It will contribute massively to the growth of the creative, industry. But wewe kama msanii, uko hapo ndani, what do you make? Are you sort of like concerned about the future of the creative industry? Because again, now it is the 5%, right? Maybe in the next regime, it will be like, you know what, tuliwapatia time, mukajipanga, kuna council, hopefully kutakuwa na council at that time. There's a bit of regulation, there's a bit of structure and all those things. So maybe they will decide, you know what, let's increase to like 10% or 15%. So are you sort of like concerned with all this, taxation, increase, revision and all those things?
Fact remains that intention to increase is definitely there. We're living in that time. Yeah. There is the intention to increase it because as it is right now, nothing has happened. Yeah, it's only that changed. It's now been made into law that 5% has to be paid. So that is targeting the ones who have not been paying the 5%. Mimi, I file my returns every year, so I know that 5% I have to accommodate. Hata nikienda kujaribu kufile, wananiambiaga kuna hika moja umesahau. Ongezea hapo na nina file. Yeah. So this is probably what I'd say is the challenge. Okay. Regulation, very good. Making sure that this becomes an actual profession, it's even better because sasa nitaongeleshwa na heshima. Siambue mimi ni ule mtu waku tengeneza mavideo na kurukaruka kwa internet. It's a real profession, respect it as it should be. Yes. So this is what I'm hoping in turn we're going to get. Right. So the average consumer will buy a mobile phone, say, if just for tuvitu tudogo between 10 and 20 or 30,000. A content creator will need to spend more than that to get a phone if we are working with phones. Say a phone like this. A very nice phone for you to be able to create content. Yeah. That is going to reach the masses.
Because we're also looking at quality. Wakenya
kwanza na quality. Muna kimbizaka. Munaona kitu mbaya munalia. Yes. So when a content creator spends that amount of money, and then you have a government that comes in and says, even for the broke content creator, who still needs to spend money, and more than the average consumer spends money, tunaongeza ka 10% kengine hapo hivyo kwa mobile phones, hapo kwanza mbemuumiza. Okay. Secondly, sawa, tuingie sasa kwa sisi ambao tunatumia actual equipment. Wewe unatumia actual equipment. You know how expensive they are. From the smallest. Mimi nimejaribu hata ile a simple importing from China. Just tuchuma tu tudogo tu kupeleka camera tu slide hivi kidogo. I buy the equipment, I buy one piece at 4,000 shillings, but I pay 7,000 shillings for tax. For one, na nimechukua mbili. Sasa ninashindwa jameni. Hapa tuko wapi? Cha ukweli, hapa tuko wapi? Hapa tu, like the seller gives it to me at 4,000 shillings, I pay 7,000 to the government just to be able to use it in my country. Why is that? Right. And these are some of the things that we are saying. These are some of the support systems that we need in place. Sawa, if you're going to charge me and increase it from the 5%, even from the little 5% that you're taking, what are you giving to me? So I can say, I am paying into something that is helping me grow as well as an individual. Okay. Not just taking and sitting and waiting to see, mtu ana create content mzuri, chukua pesa ingine. Hapana. What am I getting back in return?
Okay.
Do you support the issue of regularizing the industry?
I mean, regulation is very important. I remember that's one of the things that I even pointed out when there was the issue of the content creator at the airport in Mombasa. I said, you know what, sawa, embarrassing situation has happened. Content creators tumechoma kidogo. But truth is, yes, that we need to, let me call it, there needs to be cooperation between the content creators and the government. Okay. That's for sure, okay? It is a partnership, yes. Collaboration, partnership. Venye tunaitishaga collaboration kama wasanii sisi wenyewe. Let's collaborate with the government. Allow us to do some things and we shall pay what is due to us. Tell us what you don't want us to do and we ask you what we need to do. That is the regulation in itself.
Okay. Exactly. And for me, Winnie, this is what I was saying. I'm not here at kutetea government at you. Don't pay. I'm a pay. You must pay.
But you're not
Mimi niko pale hata mikupusha agenda. Okay? But we must push, and I emphasize, push this agenda of regularization.
So even as you push it, FC Jesse, so then when do you want to see this happen? Because you see, it's one thing to push, but it's also another thing to see this actually happen and also help, you know, digital content creators wasanii uko nje. So do you sort of like have a timeline and say, by this time, Mr. President, hi, thank you very much for revising it back to 5% how it used to be, but this is what we also want to see that will help the content creators that hata ukisema walipe 10%, they will not have a problem because
at least,
there is
Winnie,
investment.
At least I can say there is this President William Ruto listens to us. For sure he does. Mato sahi, if you want easy video to add to the president, ukitaka zimfikie, they can. It's easier now. But the one thing is, hatujakuwa na mahali. It's like picking a homeless person from the street. Alafu, umwambie sasa aya anza kudecorate nyumba na hakuna hiyo nyumba yet. So hapo ndio mimi my emphasis is we must fix it there. Yes, tuko na watu wengine pale Kenya Kwanza wana-debate hapa juu, and I'm saying some of the members of parliament that are so debating in parliament, they are debating hapa juu saying oh it has been 15%, now it is 5%. Yes, let's pay. Sawa, we need to pay because tumekuwa tukilipa either way. However, these same members of parliament are the ones we are urging as a creatives tunawaomba pia, as we fix this house, haijakuwa, we must have it. And the president understands we must have it. If we had a president that does not understand we must have a home, ingekuwa a problem. But for now, he knows we must have. So ukiniuliza how long we have until we make it ifixiwe and then we start taxing people higher, I'll tell you it will depend with our push towards that agenda.
So like all the creatives come together and say this is what we want. Hatukatai kulipa tax. I mean it's a moral and civil duty. All of us, all kinds, right? Yeah. We all need to pay taxes.
If I can just,
but hey, help us here.
Throw this in
very quickly, and then I go to Eric.
Yes.
Time is
I just want to throw it in.
Yes.
You see what I like about the state in Arusha Mawe. What I like the fact that haukuingia parliament is the fact that no. I'm saying this very strategically. Is we had Jaguar. We've had KJ. We right now have Jalango, who have been artists before they went into parliament. And the only reason that they always give for not strategically and intentionally fighting for artists' rights is the fact that I'm a member of parliament. It is the people of Starehe, the people of Langata, the people of Dagoretti who put me in these positions. These are the people ndashughulikia. So inakuwa ni kabisa kuwa msanii ni side hustle. So wewe
ni point
wewe hauna hiyo side hustle sasa, kwako hiyo ndio the main hustle. Juu bado haulipi na hiyo serikali yenye uko wenye you're standing next to. At the point at which we shall be looking at you saying wewe umeingia hapo kama msanii, you are close to the powers that be, so it is you that we are going to look at. So it is you that we are going to expect to call us when you need that extra support, not for us to know tunafaa kukuja sasa.
We will do that. We will do that. Alafu Mato, my friend, ningeingia hiyo parliament. And I tell you for sure, hiyo parliament, my friend, let me tell you, even me, I'm disappointed by artists when they didn't look at the creative. My agenda Nikki campaign was the creatives, and I was very serious about it. And this thing is close to my heart. Na lazima itafanyika, even with President William Ruto being there. Anytime tunaonana, I promise you, lazima hii industry itafixika because we have a president that listens
elections
to us.
In the next few years.
I'll still campaign.
Okay, so Eric, in terms of, first of all, digital content creators understanding what is required of them in terms of taxation and all those things, because again, like we said when we started the conversation, majority of them, I was reading a newspaper and they were saying, first of all, there's some digital content creators who did not even know this 15% it will impact AJ, all right? And then there's some who do not even have a KRA PIN to start with, okay? So do you see this as a problem in terms of like, you know, hurdles, impediments that will also impact them as creatives when it comes to getting businesses, gigs, you know, and all those things because they need to pay taxes? Very quickly in like 30 seconds.
Okay, number one, it's the duty of every citizen after 18 to have a KRA PIN, and it's good for transacting business with the government and getting services. So what content creators need to do is get KRA PIN because that's the only way they're going to get gigs. If they don't have KRA PINs, then it's going to really disenfranchise them in accessing the, especially the formalized market, where they can even be paid a decent income. So it's the duty, and that's why probably if we have a society of content creators, it would sensitize them to make sure that they have the KRA PIN and also understand dynamics of intellectual property rights, and how to even negotiate contracts and agreements. So it's critical, and that's why we need to formalize the sector. But also, and that's where we come to issues when we are taxing, we always say, is it an efficient system? Because the KRA must make sure that it's efficient enough for it to be able to collect the taxes from the content creators. It must also drive the agenda of them getting the KRA pins.
Okay.
Then number two, then it means that if you're taxing them, then is it proportionate to what they're earning? And KRA has certain thresholds where they are saying, okay, if you are getting this much, we are going to tax you from this threshold. Okay. So to me, that's how I'm looking at it. But we need to regularize. We need to make sure that everyone is in the system. Everyone has to be captured in the system of KRA, and also for them now to be able to do business in a professional way.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. And I know if I give this do a chance, I tutashinda mpaka 11 p.m. But we have to go. Eric Omanji, Communications Analyst, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Mombasa. Just Pat Mudhomi, a.k.a. MC JC. I'm still up for Mudhomi, but okay. Comedian turned politician. And of course, not forgetting Martin Githinji, a.k.a. Daddy Macho, for coming by today. We're saying goodbye here, but of course, the conversation continues online at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter. And of course, the question that we asked you earlier on, and that is the government justified to tax digital content creators? 2 seconds, Jackson. So this one says, just as Mwangi says, do content creators need roads, security, healthcare, education, etc.? Tuanzie hapo, all right? And then Jafet Kiptanui says, yes, so long as it's an income, how can you shield someone from exempting tax by overburdening the one who earns the little or not? I support the taxation. So, again, like I said, let's continue with the conversation online. But for now, before we say goodbye, a quick reminder about an ongoing campaign by Colgate where Kenya, what if we told you that your smile can help those next to you? Well, Colgate is helping to provide clean drinking water so that our children can have a bright future by staying in school. So for every pack of Colgate that you buy at your nearest Naivas store, over the next 2 months, you are helping to build 30 water wells that will provide clean water for 120,000 people. Now, that is something to smile about. So visit the Colgate Kenya Facebook page or visit the website on wellboring/Colgate.com for more information. And remember, terms and conditions apply. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your holiday tomorrow, and I'll see you on Thursday. Goodbye.